Welcome to VNT. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. Just when global trade seemed to be finding its footing again, with supply chains humming and automakers breathing a sigh of relief, a new storm was brewing on the horizon. The Trump administration threw another curveball. This time, a hefty new tariff slapped on imported trucks and buses, catching both industry insiders and international partners off guard. The official justification: national security, of course, because apparently, nothing says threat quite like a convoy of Canadian trucks rolling across the border, loaded with auto parts and finished vehicles. The move sent shockwaves through the auto industry, especially in Canada, America's closest trading partner, and a country deeply intertwined with the U.S. economy. For decades, the U.S. and Canada have built cars together, with parts and components crossing the border multiple times before a single vehicle is finished, an intricate dance of cooperation and trust. But this new tariff, even with supposed exemptions for North American partners, felt less like a friendly gesture and more like a warning shot, a signal that the rules of the game could change at any moment. The U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, painstakingly negotiated to foster stability and certainty, was suddenly under strain from the very administration that had championed its creation just months before. Now the future of North American trade and the special U.S.-Canada relationship that underpins it was hanging in the balance, with businesses and workers on both sides of the border anxiously awaiting the next move. The world watched closely as Canada prepared its response, knowing that what happened next could reshape the economic landscape for years to come. The Trump administration's plan was a mix of harsh tariffs and sweetened tax credits, a combination that promised to shake up the auto industry in ways few could predict. Starting November 2025, a 25% tariff hit imported trucks, instantly making them far pricier for American buyers and dealers. This move was designed to protect U.S. manufacturers from foreign competition, but it also meant higher sticker prices for anyone looking for a new ride. And it didn't stop there. A 10% tariff landed on buses too, making foreign vehicles painfully expensive and putting pressure on companies that relied on international suppliers. Meanwhile, automakers assembling vehicles in the U.S. got a new tax credit, worth 3.75% of a vehicle's price, a clear incentive to buy American. This credit was meant to reward companies keeping jobs and production stateside, giving them a competitive edge. The goal? Boost domestic production and jobs, and encourage consumers to support American-made vehicles, all while strengthening the country's industrial backbone. But the North American auto industry is a tangled web. Parts often cross borders multiple times before a car is finished. Supply chains stretch from Mexico to Canada and back again, making it nearly impossible to separate foreign from domestic. Even with USMCA exemptions, the new tariffs created a bureaucratic nightmare, adding mountains of paperwork and a constant sense of uncertainty for businesses trying to keep up. Earlier tariffs on steel, aluminum, and auto imports had already created chaos, driving up costs for raw materials and squeezing profit margins across the industry. Instead of clarity, the policy left automakers scrambling to adapt to ever-changing rules, with executives and workers alike struggling to make sense of the shifting landscape. The America First blueprint looked less like a strategy and more like confusion on paper, as companies tried to navigate a maze of new regulations and shifting incentives. The result? Rising costs, mounting chaos, and a deeply unstable environment for the industry, leaving everyone from factory workers to CEOs wondering what would come next. The administration's vision was simple: build a fortress around American automakers. Tariffs would keep foreign trucks and buses out, while tax credits rewarded companies for building in the U.S. For Detroit's giants, a 3.75% credit was a tempting offer in a low-margin business. The message: bring jobs and factories home, or pay the price. The real target was the global supply chain, seen as a betrayal of American workers. The plan aimed to force companies to reorient production to the U.S., dismantling decades of international integration. Tariffs would reduce imports, boost demand for American-made vehicles, and create jobs. In theory, it was a self-sustaining cycle of prosperity. But the difference between intention and reality in global manufacturing is always a bumpy road. The fortress risked becoming a cage. Canada's response wasn't loud, but it was effective. Instead of retaliatory tariffs, Canada slowed down cross-border shipments with meticulous customs checks and paperwork. Suddenly, American factories faced delays for essential parts. Just-in-time production ground to a halt. The favorable USMCA treatment meant little if parts couldn't arrive on time. Canada's subtle move exposed the flaw in the America First strategy. The North American auto industry is deeply interconnected. Disrupting one side of the supply chain hurts everyone, including US automakers. The fortress America tried to build now trapped its own companies, waiting for parts stuck at the border. The alliance was under real strain. Canada's quiet resistance proved you can't wall off trade without consequences. America's auto dreams hit a Canadian roadblock. The financial fallout was immediate. GM faced up to $5 billion in tariff-related costs. Ford, $3 billion. Auto suppliers, already fragile, saw bankruptcies and mounting losses. A fire at a key aluminum supplier cost Ford up to $1 billion, showing just how vulnerable the supply chain was. Canada's border slowdowns only made things worse, threatening production schedules and profitability. Every hour an assembly line sat idle cost millions. The America First policy, meant to strengthen U.S. Nindrosten ride you train thin fry. Muse discorn down anvrondin now. Dasten now destabilizing it. Yet the industry showed resilience, profits held, but the pressure was mounting. The perfect storm of tariffs, bankruptcies, and border chaos was pushing the system to its limits. The bill was coming due, in billions. All this turmoil hit car buyers hard, especially those with less money. Wealthier households could absorb higher prices and tighter credit, but for working-class families, new cars became out of reach. Tariffs and delays pushed prices up, while lenders grew wary of riskier borrowers. Subprime auto loan delinquencies soared, and lenders like Tricolor went bankrupt. 2/3 of new cars were now bought by above-median income households. The dream of owning a new car was becoming a luxury. Automakers focused on high-margin trucks and SUVs, leaving fewer affordable options. Used car prices soared as demand shifted. The America First policy, meant to help workers, was making cars less accessible for those who needed them most. Squeeze was on. And the divide was growing. Canada's quiet resistance exposed a fundamental flaw in the America First approach, one that policymakers in Washington hadn't fully anticipated. The policy was designed to punish trading partners and boost American jobs, but it overlooked a crucial reality. The North American auto sector operates as a single, deeply integrated ecosystem, with parts and expertise flowing seamlessly across borders every day. By simply slowing the movement of parts at the border, Canada demonstrated just how tightly the supply chain is woven together. One small disruption could ripple across the entire industry. The result was immediate and severe. American automakers faced costly shutdowns and production delays, while the intended targets, foreign competitors, remained largely unaffected. The attempt to build a fortress around American industry quickly backfired, turning that fortress into a cage that cut off vital supplies and left factories idle. The chaos didn't stop there. The electric vehicle market, already facing a challenging transition, was hit especially hard, with unfinished cars piling up and innovation grinding to a halt. The policy's impact stretched beyond the present, casting a shadow over the future of the industry and threatening jobs, investment, and technological progress on both sides of the border. In the end, America First not only undermined its own goals, but also alienated key allies and destabilized the very sector it was meant to protect, leaving workers and communities in limbo. In a world where supply chains are global and deeply interconnected, protectionism proved to be a self-inflicted wound, one that hurt American interests as much as anyone else's. Canada's subtle but strategic pushback dismantled the core logic of Trump's economic policy, making it clear that in today's world, going it alone is a recipe for failure rather than strength.